Hey, I've repeatedly said that Vladimir Putin is not our friend. In addition to last year's solar winds hack in my hometown of Austin, he and his cronies are responsible for at least three additional cyber attacks in the last 2 months, including two on U.S. companies, which seriously disrupted our supply chain. He continues his illegal occupation of Crimea. He orchestrated the poisoning of Alexei Navalny. He publicly reports and supports the illegitimate despot Lukashenko in Belarus, even though he scrambled a MiG to hijack a commercial airliner to arrest the journalist. Then he's holding two Americans hostage, Trevor Reed and Paul Whelan. Yet late last month, the Biden administration made the baffling assertion that waiving sanctions on Nord Stream 2 AG, a Russian Gazprom subsidiary, and its CEO and corporate officers is somehow in the U.S., quote, national interest. Let me be clear, allowing a Russian malign influence project to be built that will enrich Putin, give him greater strength in Europe, and further endanger Ukraine is absolutely not in our U.S. national interest. Now, President Biden is rewarding Putin with a summit in Geneva next week. This sends a very powerful and very dangerous message. It is my hope this summit will provide at least some good. So I would urge you and the president to call for the release of Trevor Reed and Paul Whelan as a precondition to this meeting. Now I'd like to turn to Afghanistan. I made very clear I oppose the ill-advised and arbitrary withdrawal from Afghanistan. But the decision has been made, and now we must mitigate the fallout. And that starts with honoring our promises to those Afghans who risked their lives to work alongside our troops and personnel. I've spoken with officials at your department as well as people at DHS, and their conclusion is that there is no way to process enough special immigrant visas for these Afghans to withdraw by September 11th. So, Mr. Secretary, the clock is ticking, and the Taliban are on the march. And that's why I'm calling for this administration to evacuate any person who has reached a significant stage in the security vetting process to a third country to finish their visa processing before the U.S. completes its military retrograde. The time for platitudes and vague promises are over. We need action, and we need it yesterday. While we have certainly turned a corner in our fight against COVID-19, the devastating impacts are still being felt in this country and around the world. More than 3.5 million people worldwide have lost their lives, including approximately 600,000 Americans. I want to thank the president for finally calling for a full investigation into the origins of COVID-19. And I also want to thank the chairman for organizing last month's classified briefing on the topic. Last year, I conducted an extensive investigation into the origins of COVID, and I would like to submit that here for the record and send you a copy, Mr. Secretary. I hope you'll provide guidance to the administration as you vigorously search for answers. If we can't get to the bottom of how this happened, we are doomed to watch as history repeats itself. And if it turned out this did leak from a Chinese lab, it's just one more example of how the CCP's malign behavior damages the entire world. Confronting the generational threat posed by the CCP isn't a Republican issue or a Democrat issue. It's an American issue. And it's vital that we work across the aisle to solve this issue, as this committee has already done with our bipartisan genocide resolution. So I want to thank Chairman Meeks for working with me on this important resolution. I urge Speaker Pelosi to bring it to the floor for a vote as soon as possible. And Mr. Secretary, I want to thank you again today for joining us. The world is facing many crises. As we speak, new reports from Ethiopia find 2 million people have been displaced, and famine conditions are threatening the lives of millions more in Tigray. Starvation is being used as a weapon of war there. The work of the U.S. State Department and this committee's oversight has never been more important. And with that, I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.